Some days it feels like hope packed its bags and left, like the light dimmed and never came back. You smile, but it's thin. You breathe, but it's heavy. You move, but you're not really living, just surviving. And deep down, there's a voice that whispers, "This is just how it's going to be now." Cold, numb, tired. You scroll past motivation. You nod at prayers. You fake the "I'm okay." But inside, you're running on empty. And yet, something in you won't give up. Not completely. You don't know why, but you keep waking up. You keep whispering those quiet prayers. You keep showing up in the dark. That, right there, that's hope. Not loud, not flashy, but still alive, still burning, still fighting. And maybe it never left. Maybe it's just been quiet, waiting for you to notice it's still here. Hope isn't always a feeling. Sometimes it's just a choice. The decision to stay when everything in you wants to leave. The quiet refusal to let go, even when nothing looks different. That's where real hope lives. Not in perfect circumstances, but in persistent hearts. And maybe that's what's kept you breathing this whole time. Not luck, not strength, but hope that refuses to die. You thought you were weak, but maybe you were just carrying more than most people could ever see. And through all of it, the silence, the fear, the loneliness, God never left. Even if you couldn't feel him, even if your prayers felt hollow, he was still there, still holding the pieces, still whispering through the cracks. Don't quit. I'm not done. You don't need a loud miracle to prove that hope is real. Sometimes it looks like getting out of bed when you didn't want to, like answering a message when you felt like disappearing, like breathing deep instead of breaking down. That's hope too. It doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just shows up. And maybe, while you've been waiting for a breakthrough, God's been watching your endurance. Maybe your faith isn't failing. It's forming, quietly, deeply, day by day. You thought strength meant smiling, but real strength is staying. Staying when it hurts, staying when it's quiet, staying when it would be easier to shut down. Hope still lives here, in the middle of the tension, in the questions, in the slow healing. And you're living proof of it. Maybe hope isn't the fire you thought it would be. Maybe it's just a flicker that refuses to go out. And that flicker, it's enough. It's enough to guide your next step. Enough to carry you through the valley. Enough to remind you that you're not finished yet. You don't need to feel strong to be strong. You don't need to see light to believe it still exists. Because even when everything feels dark, God is still writing your story. And he never ends on emptiness. He doesn't leave his children in silence. He waits until the moment is right, until the strength he built in you matches the weight of the blessing coming. That's why you're still here. Not because it's easy, but because something inside you, deeper than pain, still knows he's not done. Not with your story, not with your healing, not with you. Hope doesn't always feel like light. Sometimes it feels like weight, like a quiet pressure in your chest that says, keep going. Not because you see the end, but because something in you refuses to settle in the dark. That something is sacred. It's not fake positivity. It's not denial. It's the echo of eternity inside you, reminding you that broken isn't the end. It's the beginning of rebuilding. Maybe you've lost things, people, pieces of yourself, but you haven't lost everything. You still have breath. You still have time. You still have a God who's not finished. And that's enough to hope again. Maybe not loud, maybe not with fire, but with a steady, holy ache that says, There's more ahead. Don't stop here. It's okay if your hope doesn't look like theirs. Yours is real, even if it's quiet, even if it trembles, even if it shows up messy. The world celebrates loud comebacks, but heaven celebrates the silent ones, the ones who rise without applause. That's you, rising from the ache, standing in the slow, believing again, even after disappointment. God sees that, He honors that, and He's building something in you that no one can steal. A hope that isn't rooted in outcomes, but in presence. A hope that doesn't depend on perfect timing, but on faithful return. That's what makes it unshakable. Not that it's always strong, but that it keeps coming back. And maybe that's what heaven calls victory. Not never falling, but never quitting. Hope isn't just what keeps you going, it's what keeps you grounded. When everything else changes, hope reminds you who you are. You're not just surviving, you're becoming someone deeper, stronger, more anchored in truth than emotion. That doesn't mean it's easy, it just means it's real. Real hope doesn't erase pain, but it gives it purpose. It says, this isn't the end, this is preparation for joy, for healing, for peace that doesn't need proof. And even if your steps feel small, they matter. Even if your progress feels slow, it's seen by God, by heaven, and one day, by you. You'll look back and realize you weren't lost. You were being led through shadows, through silence, into something solid. You made it through what was meant to break you. You're still standing, maybe with scars, maybe with questions, but still here, and that matters. It means hope never really died. It might have gone quiet, it might have looked different, but it lived. Through every tear, every silent prayer, every breath you thought was your last. That kind of hope isn't borrowed. It's built. It's formed in the fire. It's what makes you unstoppable. Not because everything is perfect, but because you've seen the worst and still choose to believe. You are living proof that hope doesn't leave. It digs in. It stays. It fights. And right here, in your story, in this moment, it still lives. So what if the reason hope stayed was because it knew your story wasn't over yet?